Do you remember when Satan approached Eve in the garden? He said, "Did God really say, 'You must not eat from any tree in the garden'?" Eve told Satan that her and Adam could eat from all the trees in the garden except one, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil in the middle of the garden. That was out. If they touched it, they would die. "You will not die," the serpent said to the woman, "for God knows that when you eat from it, your eyes will be opened and you will be like God, knowing good and evil." What a proposition! You'll be like God. And Genesis 3:6 states, "When the woman saw that the fruit of the tree was good for food and pleasing to the eye, and also desirable for gaining wisdom, she took some and she ate it. She also gave some to her husband who was with her, and he ate it." Now notice, earthly wisdom followed by earthly action, they go together. And both Adam and Eve paid dearly. Their eyes were open and they realized they were naked and they tried to cover up. The first story of man and woman in the Bible relates to wisdom. Actually, two kinds of wisdom: earthly wisdom and heavenly wisdom. And James contrasts these two kinds of wisdom that results in two ways of living. James 3:13, "Who is wise and understanding among you? Let them show it by their good life, by deeds done in humility that comes from wisdom. But if you harbor bitter envy and selfish ambition in your hearts, do not boast about it or deny the truth. Such wisdom does not come down from heaven, but is earthly, unspiritual, demonic. For where you have envy and selfish ambition, there you will find disorder and every evil practice." Now first, let's consider earthly wisdom. Earthly wisdom is rooted in envy. That's coveting what others possess. Earthly wisdom focuses on selfish ambition, which is self-seeking. Earthly ambition is unspiritual, demonic. It causes disorder. It results in evil practice. Get that? Evil practice. Those who walk according to earthly wisdom live sinful. Now let's contrast that with heavenly wisdom. Heavenly wisdom is pure, peace-loving. Heavenly wisdom is considerate, submissive, full of mercy. Heavenly wisdom is impartial, sincere. Bottom line, those who walk according to heavenly wisdom reap a harvest of righteousness. They produce good fruit. Now let's read verse 13 again. "Who is wise and understanding among you? Let them show it by their good life, by deeds done in the humility that comes from wisdom." According to Kurt Richardson, those who live according to true wisdom produce a cycle of increasing virtue that continues through a lifetime. Now, God's Word remains the only true bona fide source of true wisdom. Those who sow God's Word into their hearts and live accordingly reap well-being. And it's your choice. Live by earthly wisdom and be destroyed. Live by heavenly wisdom and live a great life. To me, it seems like a no-brainer. And yet some, they just don't get it. They're deceived like Eve. They make the big mistake of living according to worldly wisdom, and they pay dearly for it. Marian Lidstrand in Remain in Me tells about how nearly 7 years ago, she started a business. Marian prayed and she sensed God's confirmation to move forward. And because of her inexperience in retail operations, she depended heavily on God for wisdom and direction. Between the first time she caught a vision for this venture and the day she opened the doors, she prayed every step of the way. And on opening day, customers lined up around the building. Then she began to believe that success or failure rested on her. So for the next 4 years, after those first 3 years, she ran the store as if this was true. It depended on her. Instead of praying for God's wisdom or listening or trusting counsel, she relied on her own understanding. She was too busy and preoccupied to spend time in the Word. Daily preoccupation over work took the place of praying with God. Jesus said, I am the vine, you are the branches, and if a man remains in me and I in him, he will bear much fruit. He said this, apart from me, you can do nothing. And she learned the longer she skimped in her spiritual life, the further she fell from the vine. And the further she fell from the vine, the more her efforts proved fruitless. Making decisions from God, listen to me, and for not including her husband, had a snowball effect and eventually led to the business being closed and almost ruined her marriage. She learned that apart from Jesus, you can do nothing. And instead of remaining in him, she tried to run on ahead without him. I grew up taking piano lessons, and in college I took from a truly great teacher. I learned there were two ways to play the piano, my way and the teacher's way. And when I submitted to the wisdom of the master teacher, I played great music. When I did it my way, the song was just average, and sometimes it was just plain bad. You and I have a choice, God's way or Satan's way. Let's live according to true wisdom. Let's reject earthly wisdom. Let's make great music that changes us and those around us.